Alright, so today we will do something different here on the channel, as I will do my first Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review. Now Jujutsu Kaisen is a series I've been following for a while, but I haven't been sure if I should make chapter reviews on it or not. However, with the stuff happening in the manga right now, I just couldn't help myself. So today we will go over chapter 250 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now bear in mind that this is my first Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review. So please go easy on me and help me out in the comments if I say anything wrong. Anyway, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let's get right into the chapter. Alright, so chapter 250 begins and the text says, "The special grades domain, revealed, now how does it work?" And it starts off with a panel of Yuta, where the narrator kindly goes a bit deeper into his domain, as we haven't gotten too much info about it, which is to be expected as he just pulled it out in the chapter before. So Yuta's all-encompassing, unequivocal love allows him to choose any one of his copied techniques to imbue the barrier with, as the domain's sure-hit effect. However, his remaining copied techniques are all scattered randomly among the katanas within his domain, and it's only Yuta himself who holds the power to utilize them. But even then, he doesn't know which katana contains which technique until he grabs it for the first time, and while each katana can only be used once, their number is infinite. Now that's a very interesting domain. I quite enjoy the luck that it holds, as Yuta himself doesn't know which katana contains which technique before he touches it. Anyway, Rika splits into smaller parts and goes to attack Sukuna, but Rika isn't by herself as Yuji is behind, and also throws a couple of punches towards Sukuna. Rika goes above Sukuna and aims to hit him, but Sukuna notices her and dodges it. However, as he jumps away, a bunch of slashes appear on his back, and he realizes that it was a technique that applied an inviolable barrier to his Shikigami's path. Yuta is in midair as he intends to go in for the next hit. Sukuna says that after his first fight with Gojo, he's still unable to expand his domain, and that the effects of his reversed cursed technique remain sluggish. And at this point, his total cursed energy is likely matched to Yuta's. On top of that, maintaining his hollow wicker basket renders him unable to use the world bisecting dismantle after extending the target of his technique. After that, Rika grabs a hold of Yuji and throws him towards Sukuna. Yuta is also close, and the two of them make a joint attack, which Sukuna effortlessly blocks. Sukuna then realizes that Yuji is aiming directly for the barrier between his soul and Megumi's. He's rousing Megumi's soul that was submerged by the bath and disrupting the harmony between this body and himself. Every time he takes a blow from his cursed energy output falls, and his control over his body weakens, saying that they are just chipping away until he can no longer maintain his hollow wicker basket. But that's far from the real risk at hand, as he thinks that they want to use the angel's technique Jacob's Ladder to then eradicate the cursed object within Megumi. Yuji gets a hold of Sukuna's arms, but then Sukuna is about to use his slashes on Yuji. However, before he can get it off, Yuta uses Inumaki's technique and tells him not to move. With Sukuna stuck, he picks up another sword and uses his thin icebreaker on Sukuna, which makes him fly back and even breaks a few pillars on his way. But he gets greeted by a double attack from Rika. After that, he escapes, but Yuji and Yuta quickly run towards him so that they don't lose his tail. As they are headed toward him, he stops and uses his slash technique on them, which they take head on. As they are dealing with that, Rika goes from above and tries to hit Sukuna. However, Sukuna hits her with a kick to her face and stops her attack from getting to him. He gets some distance and says that if he doesn't make direct contact, he won't leave a fatal wound, just as it was with him, referring to Ryu. But even then he wouldn't say that they surpass him in toughness. It's not just because of his diminished cursed energy output from the fight with Gojo either, but instead that all of the sorcerers that have shown up from Jujutsu High have extremely tight defenses. And then there's the brat's reversed cursed technique, and not to mention the whole domain itself. Its sure hit effect is narrowed to apply to himself and only him. But he wonders if he was capable of this from the beginning, and that something like this requires a very sophisticated barrier technique. Sukuna has a smug face on him as he asks them what they have been up to this past month. Yuji tells him that they have done hard work and determination, and Yuta just says that they cheated. They then simultaneously say "oh" and are surprised, which I thought was quite funny. Both of them have slash marks all over their face, and Yuta thinks that if it weren't for the after effects of his battle with Gojo, then they wouldn't have a second to spare to use their reversed cursed techniques, and that Sukuna would instead annihilate them in an instant. And Yuji thinks that even if it pains him to admit it, they are up against the strongest sorcerer right now, and that he doesn't even want to think about what will happen if they can't stop him right here and now. All three of them then go and just attack Sukuna relentlessly. They give him hell left to right as they overpower him with numbers. Sukuna goes through all of the attacks Yuta has used and wonders if he has the limitless as well, but he says that he shouldn't be able to control it without the 6 eyes and thinks that Yuta might have played all of his cards. we get to Yuta, who says that even Sukuna will be caught off guard by a technique he hasn't seen used. And with that, we now know that he's got a plan. He picks up a sword and says that this is the one, as he is headed towards Sukuna. Yuta wastes no time and goes straight into it and takes the sword against Sukuna. Sukuna manages to block it with his hand. The sword is directed towards his face, and Yuta then says, "Cleave," which makes slashes appear on Sukuna's face, with one of them going right through his eye. And Sukuna can't believe it, that Yuta managed to use his own attacks against him. Now that is honestly insane. Like Yuta really just straight up stole Sukuna's technique and used it on him. Like that's so cool, and the most impressive part about it all is that seemed like it came as a surprise to Sukuna, who was shocked when it happened. Anyway, let's go over the chapter. I really liked that we got an explanation of Yuta's domain in the beginning. Now I find his domain really interesting, that any of his katana on the ground is one of his copied techniques, which acts as the domain's sure hit effect. That really opens up a lot of options for him. And I like that it's like a mystery game for him, as he doesn't know what technique is where before he grabs hold of the sword. And let me just say that Rika, Yuji and Yuta were standing on business in his chapter. They didn't leave even 1 second for Sukuna to breathe, as they just continued their countless attacks. And it might be that I'm just a bit biased to Yuta. However, he looked so incredibly cool in this chapter, especially when he was in the air, and also when he went and sneaked up on Sukuna. Not to mention, when he straight up told Sukuna not to move, like Yuta was looking a bit too cold there. However, I'm wondering what Sukuna's next move will be, as it looks like he's in a bit of a pinch right now, with him facing off against Rika, Yuji and Yuta, while still in Yuta's domain. Not to mention that he said that his cursed energy likely matches Yuta due to his fight with Gojo, which left him weaker even though he got into his final form from it, which is of course is him now with his 4 arms. It doesn't sound like Sukuna can just keep on mindlessly fighting either, as he said that every time Yuji hits him, his cursed energy output falls, and the control of his body weakens, which seems to be their plan, to just try and get Yuji to get in as many attacks on Sukuna as possible, so that they can slowly make him weaker to the point where he can't maintain his hollow wicker basket, which then could lead to the angel's technique coming into play to try and eradicate the cursed object from Megumi. So I'm really interested in seeing what Sukuna has in store for us in the next chapter, and it must be something good, as he really wasn't ready for Yuta to use his own powers against him. Anyway, yeah, this is just my thoughts on it, and please leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments, as I love reading them. And this was my first Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review, so if you know a way I can manage to improve it, somehow, please leave it in the comments and I will try to implicate it and improve upon it until the next chapter review. If you like Jujutsu Kaisen and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.